Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to where it all began last season, the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, the stage of the first round of SDN Season 6. After months of build-up, drama and anticipation, the lights are finally back on and a brand new chapter is about to be written here in Albert Park. We're racing today at the fast and flowing street circuit, or semi-street circuit of Australia, and its rapid change of direction, tight walls and limited overtaking zones with 14 turns and over 5.2 kilometers. It's a real test of driver commitment, especially early in the season where rust still lingers and everyone's eager to make a statement, and especially at the early stages of the F1 game. East Brand started the season as the hunted man, the reigning champion with 199 points to his name from Season 5. Right back at the hills is Fireblaze with just 7 points behind as well in the championship last season. But it's all brand new. A brand new season here in Australia. It's full qualifying and a 29 lap race here. And my name is Jamie Morris, and alongside me tonight is Milan Langer. How are you doing, mate?
I am doing very good, thank you very much, and I'm great to be back again after my first full season last season here in SDN. And it's a track I am quite familiar with nowadays, and the track I used to enjoy, and I do now as well on this game, so I think it's going to be a very exciting season ahead of us, and I can't wait to get it started.
Me neither, mate, me neither. After a long season in F1 24, of course, where of course it was a long and actual patch in Brazil as well, with the last race of the season being so chaotic. It was Kevin Zumberg who won the last race of the season, but then afterwards it belonged to a van because I think Kevin got a penalty after the Grand Prix. I'm not quite sure why, but it was a long time ago. But on board with the Cyberman, or should I go on board with the Mercedes of Happy Meal? Happy Meal goes from Tier 1 to Tier 2. So let's go on board with him as we head down in towards Tier 3. So this is Q1. We're expecting 4 more people to join, but if they don't join, at least if one more person doesn't join, then we're not going to go into Q2. It's short qualifying. But here we go then as Happy Meal continues with his first lap. It's a 26.6 in the first sector. Swoops it into second, but already invalidates on the entry towards turn 8 there. So already people being caught out. We've seen plenty of times, especially back in JSR, where a lot of people back then got caught out by invalidations. So unfortunately, he got caught out by the invalidation there.
Yeah, it's a really tricky corner to get right. If you just get under the grass on entry, you know you will be dragged to the outside line and pretty much guaranteed an invalidation. So it's very, very tricky to get right. But Dicey seems to have get it right. He is on his lap as well now, going into that very tricky chicane, which is also very difficult to get right. But the curbs especially can really drag you out outside the white lines. But he has kept it within those white lines. Means he's now going to make his way into this final sector to round off the lap, and he will be the first one to set a lap time on the board this season on this game in SDN. So let's see what this lap time is going to be. Just 2 more corners remaining for the kick shower as he rounds the final corner. Nice and tidy. First lap time on the board is going to come in a few seconds time. Ticey in the shower, crosses the line for what will be a 1:17.076. I can tell you that is not going to be pole position, but it is the first lap time on the board for now.
So Happy Meal is going for his lap again, his second flying lap, as other people are still in the pit lane, so just waiting for their first flying laps. But we've got Vinhert, we've got other people out on the circuit as well, as Ticey is the first one on the circuit. But Happy Meal is coming towards the end of the first sector. This is where he validated last time, but this time he's in nice and tidy. The Tier 2 driver who won multiple Grand Prix as well, especially I think back in the Mexican Grand Prix when it was him versus Sheepy Gamer all those seasons ago, or last season in Division 2, of course, when I commentated for the first time ever in Division 2. The Happy Meal towards the end of the first sector or middle sector. Look at that, sweeping through the corner, but a bit hesitant on the exit of on turn 10. And he did lose a bit of time towards the exit of turn 10 as well as we head down towards 11, the heavy braking zone, clipping the apex lines. They used all the track on the outside, coming towards turn 12 as well. It is, well, I don't know about this corner because I've taken it flat out in the past, but some people are still hesitant as we see him making his way towards the final few corners now. Let's see if this lap time is good enough to put himself into first place. Remember, Q1 is all about getting yourself inside the top 15 as Happy Meal goes towards the top of the pecking order with a 60.424.
Yeah, it's a good lap indeed, and much quicker than what Ticey has managed so far. But there are a lot more drivers out on track. Finn Geerts on the mediums, which he showed some pace in last week or earlier this week in a JSR. He got pole position on those mediums, but he has invalidated his first attempt. But I think he is going to try again on his second attempt yesterday. So the McLaren, always contender for pole position, and he seems to really enjoy this track. So he is on the mediums again. Let's see if he can replicate what he did last Tuesday. He said a 1:15.4, I think, on those mediums, but it does seem to be a little bit more overcast, so track temperatures might be a little bit lower, meaning lap times might be a little bit slower, and it's Q1 as well, so track evolution will come for the remainder of this qualifying session, so expect lap times to be a little bit slower through Q1 and Q2, but he goes wide as well, just like Happy Meal did on his first lap, and that is another invalidation for Finn Geerts in the McLaren.
Yeah, what a shame there, but we did see JSR though, he did do his best lap time on the medical bad tyre, so he could be replicating the same thing he did in JSR. He's got plenty of information as we've got more people towards the line he goes. It is Ryan who goes up into P2 at a 16.494 and 2 tenths behind Happy Meal, but Happy Meal is did 2 laps of those soft bad tyres. Classic Cass up into P3 with a 17.533 and Tyson just behind with a 17.7076 as well in the kickstart, but as Finn Geerts makes his way back in towards the pit lane. Daniela is out there too on the mini cup hard tyres. Interestingly, we did see him have glimpses of good results. Remember back at the Austrian Grand Prix when he showed some promise to pace Qatar as well. He has been a good contender as well, has Daniela, for the past few races, but unfortunately for him, he just can't seem to get a hooked up like every single race. He just makes mistakes now and then, and that's why you see him do well in one race, fall back in the other. As Pookie says, or Yuki Pookie says, we are so back, and we are indeed then. For the first race of the season, only 15 people here in this qualifying one session, but I really hope that there's more people in Q2 as well. So we make our way towards the end of the first set, so 44.0 as he makes his way through turn 9 and turn 10. Very good on the exit indeed as the Haasbar makes his way down in towards 11, the heavy braking zone. Braking at the 100 meter board, down 3 gears into third gear. Look at that, taking a lot of curb, but look at that. Ooh. Also loses the back end of the car. He seemed taking a lot of curb on the entry, which meant he just lost the back end of the car as it was unsettled. The curbs just unbalanced in the car. As we make our way now towards the final 2 corners, he goes the DRS open. Heads and hood. En Michel, Evan. Here comes Daniel towards the line. He goes quickest with a 60.420, and that is on the medical part tyres as well.
Yeah, so we now got 16 drivers. Not sure if you noticed, but the driver who has joined is Misha. So for those who don't know, Misha and Finn Geerts out on track here in Melbourne. I'm sure it's going to provide some great entertainment in the race. That is something for later on, but Misha is joining us in this qualifying session in the Aston Martin, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do, because his pace is also very strong around Melbourne. As Lucas in the Williams has gone purple through the second sector for as far that is true by the minimap in the bottom right corner. Never quite know if it's actually purple or not, but he is at the end of his flying lap, first of the Williams drivers to set a lap time. Actually, he's at the moment he's the only Williams on track and in this lobby as well, but Lucas rounds the final corner. Can't get anywhere near a 164th than yet. It's very tight at the top with 3 drivers with a 116.4. Lucas crosses the line and he goes way quicker, 115.8, the first driver to go into the 115s.
I think that is a decent qualifying, especially in Q1 as well. In the early stage of qualifying, we saw on JSR 16.6. I'm using that as a reference point as well, but that was set on the really good bad tyres by Finn Geerts, who took pole by it as well. So, like you said, there was 16 drivers there. One more person has joined, and only one person in this qualifying session can get knocked out as well. So, look yourself. Whoever that first person is, get knocked out in Q1. But we've got multiple people then on our laps, a few people on the qualifying laps as well. We've got a few people on the intermediates. As Ivan says, it is full wet race on the intermediates then. So I'm not quite sure if it's wet tyres or intermediate tyres. But what our first race started off as Max comes towards the line in P10 with a 21.5. Obviously, he's on the intermediate tyres there, so I expect him to be that quick. But Dylan, the newcomer, goes up into P2 with a 60.275 on the medium compound tyres as well. So not bad for him on the mediums. Remember, this is Q1 though, so don't forget that only one person in this qualifier session can get knocked out. And so far, it is Fireblaze. But Fireblaze, with Nick, Honor Dole, Misha, Mike, and Finn Geerts haven't set a lap time just yet. So expect them to be up there in the pecking order. But I have no idea who could get knocked out at Q1, because a lot of these people have been very quick in the last season, but unfortunately, there's some people who are regular people get knocked out of Q1, but always do well in the race. And I'm talking about TVHNL. TVHNL is one of those suspects, and Ticey, who gets knocked out of Q1. But in the race, they always tend to do well, get themselves inside the top 10. But on board with the McLaren driver, Finn Hertz, as he makes his way down in towards turn 1.
Yep, Finn Hertz trying to go for another lap time. He validated his first two and he switched to the soft. So it's not going to be the mediums that he will set his quickest lap time on in Q1. But it's a shame that he had to use that medium set and he didn't get a lap time out of it, because usually from the likes of Finn Hertz you would expect only one lap through Q1 and that will be able to see him through to the next part of qualifying, but he has to use 2 sets of tires to advance through. Can he get it within the track limits this time? Yes, he certainly can. On the soft, much better grip at probably much better tire temperatures as well, as it's way easier to warm up the soft compared to the mediums. But making his way through the middle part of this lap, I think Mommy Nick has just gone up to P6, so that's a very good banker lap for him, as well as Finn Geerts looking quite quick, but a bit hesitant there through the turn 9-10 chicane. And now into the final sector, there's an Aston Martin just ahead. Hopefully he's not going to hold up Finn Geerts. Not sure who it is. It's actually Misha, so let's see if this is going to play out well. But Finn Geerts now into those final 2 corners, and he seems to finally get a lap time on the board that is valid within the white lines. And is it going to be quicker than Lucas? I wouldn't be surprised if it is. He crosses the line and it is 1:15.196 in Q1. That is absolutely mental.
Hot for dollar, that's what I'm going to say. That is absolutely insane as well. I've never seen anybody do a 15.1 other than the entire trial with the professional PC drivers. But Finn Geerts is, of course, on PC as Mike slides his way out of turn 14. Well, turn 13 and 14, the final corner with the DRS open, of course. DRS was first introduced here in Australia. Mike goes up into P3. So a massive gap, as you can see. Tenths of a second. Lucas, however, is still in the Williams as he was in last season. Remember, the first race of the season in season 5 was Australia, and it was Williams who took first and second because Silo picked himself up a penalty, and that's why Williams first and second on that day. But Kick, unfortunately, is not here. I'm not quite sure where Kick is, but hopefully he's doing all right. Happy Meal on his second lap on the Mini Compound tyres is almost 2 tenths up, so still improving. Here he is towards the final corner with the DRS open, of course. Let's see what he's going to do. P6 with a 60.321. That's not bad on the Mini Compound tyres, but we're only looking for one suspect, one person to be knocked out here in Q1. Let's see who it is. So far, it is Ono Dole in P16, but it could be anybody in this qualifying session because they're all competitors indeed.
Indeed, and 2 drivers with a 120, I'm sure they can go faster as well, and Ono yet to set a lap time. Not sure when he is going to come out, and not sure if we're going to get any more people in this qualifying session. There's only under 5 minutes remaining, so it's going to be tight if there is more people joining, as Dominic has invalidated on his in lap, as Dylan is going out on a set of mediums. Not sure if he set his fastest lap on the mediums as well. He might have. But interesting to see that he is going out as well. He's P5, he is more than safe. Actually, probably the entire top 10 is safe at the moment, but some people still deciding to go out, just to get some laps in. But I would do that on older tires though. But Dominic, I think he is going to start on a lap. Yes, he's just finished his invalidated lap through turn 1 and 2. We will go on board in the green machine. That is the Skik Sauber, as Finn Geerts has retired from the session. Well, he can make it to Q3, might even be pole position this lap time. We'll see at the end if anyone is going to be able to beat a 1:15.1 through the remainder of Q2 and Q3. It will be interesting to see if his Q1 lap time would be enough for pole position in the end. But Mominick, can you find an improvement to Q1? He's shown some pretty decent pace so far around this track, but he's unable to improve so far through Q1. He's hopping down on his time, 64 thousandths to be precise. Now down this long straight, which is sector 2, pretty much. So pretty much all flat out with DRS open, 4 DRS zones around this track, and he's found some time. 300s up on his time. You can really cut that second part of the turn 10 there in the chicane without getting invalidated, and he did that to his advantage very nicely indeed. Now in this final sector, the most tricky part of the lap, probably where you can gain the most time and where you can also lose the most time, as he runs slightly wide there. Through turn 12, probably lost a little bit of time there, a bit of understeer as he tried to turn in the car, and now a bit of moments as well through turn 13 and 14. Not the greatest final sector. Has he found some time though to get himself any higher than P9? No, he hasn't. He fails to improve in that final sector, lost 1.5 tenths, and will stay in P9 for now.
Yeah, so when we nicked there, I'm surprised the exit of turn number 13, like you said, went out wide. I'm surprised he didn't validate on that lap time, so he kept it nice and stable there. Up into P9 he goes. 4-lap all sets of couple tyres, like you said. So on a brand new set, he could be up there amongst with the rest of the competitors up there as well, who have set good lap times in the 16s. But majority of people in the 16s, the rest of them in the 50s, just Dylan. Dylan, however, on the midi compound tyres, looking very surprised there in P3. Hello there. Is the retired drive from season 1 to season 1, tier 2, season 2, and season 3, tier 3, season. Well, that was so confusing to say, but yeah. Hello, mate. How you doing? Nice. And as well, also an outlier there on the compound tires because, as you can see, he's doing 3 laps on those sets or more as well because you fuel the car for more than 1 lap, and he's set at 15.9, his best lap time on the medium compound tyres as well. So that's a very competitive lap time there as well from Dylan. Misha, however, is currently on the flying lap now. Misha, unfortunately, in the race in JSL got caught out and missed out by a race win by Finn Hurst. So hopefully it's not going to be the same thing as Eastbrand. Wow, last season's champion is here, and will we see a Matthias and Ryan Benning crash recreation? Hopefully we won't, because remember last season when Milan screamed when Matthias and Ryan crashed at the exit of turn 6 where Robbie Kubica and Sebastian Vettel had their crash, but Misha, very loose at the exit there of turn 11, and might cost himself a little bit of time as well. It is very difficult. It's a high-speed corner as well. It can be very precise, and the exit of the corner can be very difficult. We've seen plenty of people there in the past crash out there too. Sebastian Vettel was one of them. Felipe Massa was one of them as well back in 2003, but it was the wet conditions on that day when qualifying was moved to Sunday. But 17 drivers are... Oh, look at that. Misha hits the wall dramatically at the exit of the final corner. And let's see where it goes. He goes up into P10, or should I say he stays in P10 as he crashes in the wall completely there.
Yeah, big moment out of turn, the last corner, turn 14, and that has cost him a lot of time, but he should still be safe to make it through to the next part of qualifying. Someone who is on the brink of getting knocked out is Enzo, but as Misha has retired from the session, he's dropped down to P15 for some reason. Not sure why that has happened, but he is still making it through because Eastbrand and Ono are not out on track. They will not put in a lap time, so Eastbrand will have to start this race from the back of the grid. But Enzo and Vessel TVHNL Ticey still out there on improvement. Daniele has gone up to P3 with 115.8, 1,000 of a second behind Lucas. And let's see what the Sauber of Ticey can do. Ticey and Mominik struggled a lot last season in Sauber, but at the moment they're not looking too bad at all. Both near the top 10 in Q1, much better than last season. Good improvement so far from the Sauber boys. Let's see if they can score some good points as well tonight. As Ticey is going to make his way around this final corner, and he's currently got a 117.0. Can he get anywhere near his teammate? We'll have to find half a second. Easier said than done, but he absolutely does so. Ticey up to P9 with a 116.5 for the two Saubers, P9 and P10. Enzo slots in right behind in P11, and that leaves just TVHNL and Vessel to try and find an improvement, even though they don't really need to. They are safe. They are going to make it through into the next part of qualifying. But let's see if they are going to be able to find some time. Got a good lap time on board. TVHNL crosses the line. He proves his time, not his position. And what about the Aston Martin? Improving by 2 seconds up to P7. Good lap there as well. And that concludes the end of Q1.
Yeah, so qualifying 1 is another Dustin Eastbrand who joined the session late. Will start down in P16. We know, of course, he's the last season's world champion. And he didn't even take part either of the Brazilian Grand Prix, as he still won it by a milestone. So yeah, Eastbrand there got a massive gap. But on this game, though, let's see how it transpires onto this game, which is a lot different. The handling is a lot different too. So let's see then if it changes his driving. But P16 and P17 there. The two people who got knocked out of Q1 is Eastbrand and Ono, that in P16, P17. Misha, however, he will still get to Q2, but Q2, unfortunately, despite making it through, he will still not make it through because he crashed the car. And if you crash the car in qualifying, you can't make it through because you crashed the car and ruined it. So I'm not quite sure if he knew that or not. Or maybe he thought he was going to get knocked out of Q1 because 16.5 wasn't a good time then. Maybe he expected other people to be better. But actually, he just cost himself his own qualifier there because even though he made it through to Q2, he's retired and therefore can't go quicker and can't go to Q3. So that's his qualifying done just prematurely. But here we go then. That's the end of qualifying, and Phil Hertz for the 50.1 is a mega lap time. Lucas 7/10 behind in P2. Daniela P3 ahead of Dylan, Mike, Fireblaze, Wrestle, Happy Meal, Ryan, Ticey, Mum and Nick in the Kickstarter. So Kickstarter's looking comfortable because they're looking to try and get themselves at the end of Q1. Enzo P12, Khatikas P13, TVH NLP 14, and the two people, or three shall I say, is Misha, Eastbrand, and Onodil. So there is 3 people eliminated, but in normal qualifying circumstances, it is the top 15 that goes through in Q1. But because Misha's crashed on the track and broke his wheel, therefore he can't progress into Q2 just by making it through.
Yeah, it's just stupid for Misha. It's not denying that, but that is 14 people that advance through into the next part of qualifying, and let's see how that is going to unfold. We know that the race is going to be run in wet conditions, so these lap times will not matter in the slightest. So some people might be running a wet setup, so that could explain why some lap times are slower than others. But we're in Q2, 15 minutes to decide who is going to make it into the final part of qualifying. 10 drivers will advance, and in this case 4 drivers will fail to make the cut. And who are going to be the favorites, and who are going to be fearing for their position, and just going to have to fight it out to get inside the top 10. Someone already going out, one of the Red Bulls, Ryan or Geitenkaas. It is Geitenkaas, but then gets unsafe released by the Williams of Lucas just ahead of him. So Lucas first out on track, then Geitenkaas, and I must say Geitenkaas on this game, I'm not sure, but it's not looking promising so far. In qualifying maybe a little bit, but in the races not really either. So it's definitely a downgrade from last season or last game from Geitenkaas, and he might actually struggle to make it in the final part of qualifying.
Yeah, Jay saw he finished us at the top 10. So Geitenkaas from 2024 to 2025. I messaged him as well, and he said he wasn't particularly looking good on this game either. So he's still a lot to do, a lot to improve. Has the Red Bull driver who was in the RB last week, or last season, should I say, in season 4 or season 5. He scored a win at the Spanish Grand Prix, got a few podiums as well because he was running up towards Eastbrand in the first race of the season. Then he finally got a win after starting 11th place at the Spanish Grand Prix. Then finished up in first place. But we've got multiple people out there on our laps. I think the closest towards the line is Geitenkaas then, as we go on board with him in the Red Bull. So I'm quite surprised about Geitenkaas because his progress from 2024 was amazing, especially being on pad as well, because sometimes being on pad on this game is very, very difficult because the sort of handling module wasn't up to scale on the last game as it was towards this game as well. But here we go. The handling model is supposedly supposed to be better in this game, but for me, not really. As we head down in towards turn 1, takes a lot of curve on the inside. Turn 2 runs out wide on the exit. As we head out, turn 2, DRS wide open. As we head down in towards turn 3, breaking into the black box. Down to the gears we go in towards turn 4, clipping the apex very nicely. Running out wide, cuts it back in on the inside in towards 4 and 5. As we make our way towards the fast right hand, which is flat out. Rizorki and Sebastian Vettel crash will have their crash back in 2009 when they collided and won the Grand Prix. Jensen Button won the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton got disqualified from that race after being caught out lying. I think because of Yonah Trulli going off track at the exit of turn 14 on that day. And Yonah Trulli was promoted back into P3. But Geitenkaas coming towards the end of the sector. Through 7th gear we go. Flat out. Some people like to go down towards 6th because I think a few people might get bogged down and like to go to 6th gear. But Geitenkaas is really stable from the Red Bull driver as we exit turn 11, headed down in towards turn 12. Well, not really the correct approach. It wasn't close. It was on the racing line in towards 12, and he lost a lot of time through there. So maybe his accuracy wasn't great there. But here comes Geitenkaas towards the line. It's going to be a 16.6. That is better from the Red Bull driver, but of course, not safe indeed.
Yeah, that's not going to be easy to make it through as Happy Meal goes quicker, 16.4 on the medium. So to put that into perspective, and Dylan now goes even faster, 1:15.257. Great lap time there from Dylan, and that is actually very close to Finn Geert's lap time in Q1. And Finn himself can't even match his lap time. He goes 1:15.2, but So Finn might actually have some competition in this qualifying session. Who would have known? I certainly would have guessed. But Fireblaze then goes into P3, still can't enter break into the 115s. But 116.1 will be good enough for him right now to put him in P3 and advance to the next part of qualifying. Mike, right behind him, has just started his lap time. Daniele, unfortunately, has invalidated, so he will not be improving. Lucas must have invalidated his first lap time as well, because he hasn't got a lap time on the board and he was the first one to go out. But he is on his second lap, although I'm not quite sure if it is a push lap. It might actually be an in lap. Not looking particularly quick, so Lucas then going back in as well. Mike has invalidated as well, so he will not be able to set a lap time. And Daniel is going to start on a lap. Wessel in the Aston Martin, though, is looking quite quick on his lap time. Down in P40, impressed in Q1 by going up to P7 in the dying stages of that session. Let's see if he's going to be able to replicate that and get himself around the top 5, top 7 in this session, as he makes his way through turn 13 and 14, which can be quite tricky on throttle, and you have to be mindful of that curb on the outside. So we saw multiple people I've seen spinning out on that curb as he goes up into P5 in between Happy Meal and Geitenkaas.
Yeah, not bad there from Vessel in P5. I do remember him from a different league, not in SDN. I do remember him racing around somewhere, but I don't know where he is. He is part of the Eversio X Esports team, or was, before they converged over to the Eversio, because I was in the X Esports team, but not anymore. As Mike in the Ferrari then set sails after a flying lap. Now, remember Mike last season, who did outperform Fireblaze in the last few races of the season. He gave himself on the podium quite a few times as we head through turn 3 and turn 4. Then you can see the back of the car just sliding a bit on the entry, heading towards turn 5, flat out through there, no problem whatsoever. Now coming towards the exit of turn 7 and turn 8, where it is flat out, or almost flat out, just a lift off and flat out, back of the power immediately at the exit of turn 8, because we can see the modifications around in Australia having a massive impact on the racing these days, because this track's been heavily modified since 2021, I believe it was, when the track changes were made, and we've seen a lot of changes here, because remember that chicane was there turn 8, turn 9. And the racing here has improved significantly as well, especially in league racing and in terms of actually F1. Remember 2022 where we saw Charles Leclerc taking victory after Max Verstappen retired. Perez was P2 as Finn Hertz has retired in the pit lane as he knows he is safe. But here comes Mike towards the final corner. His main aim is to get himself into the top 10. We know he's competitive, but let's see where he could go. He goes up into P5 in the Ferrari.
Yeah, it's a good lap right behind Daniele, who has finally got a lap time on the board as well a moment ago. So Daniele, Mike, P4 and P5 still in the 116s. Surprised to see a lot of drivers unable to break into the 115s yet. Might be able to do that in the final part of qualifying. Let's see what Mummy Nick can do. Was looking quite quick through Q1. He's had a 16.5 in Q1. Let's see if he's going to be able to replicate that. If he does, then he will be making it through into the final part of qualifying. His teammate did as well, but with Track Evolution might be able to maybe go a little bit quicker. Let's see what Nominek can do making his way through Q1. Have to be mindful of the curbs on the inside and outside. And down to the flat out kink to the right hand side, and now one of the most trickiest corners on this track. Have to be careful on the outside, playing it pretty safe with track limits, and now it's going to go flat out on turn 8 all the way down into the chicane of turns 9 and 10. DRS open for the third time on this lap, and now into turn 9 and 10, which used to be flat out on last year's game, but it's a little bit more difficult to manage that. Maybe with the right setup you will be able to do so, but definitely not in the race with the dirty air and understeer. Way trickier to manage that flat out. Now into this final sector, where we saw he had a bit of a messy final sector in Q1. Looking much tidier so far with 2 corners to go. Getting the apex nicely of turn 13 and now turn 14 as well. No moments through there. So looks to be a good lap from Mominek. Let's see what it is going to be as he crosses the line at 116.1 up into B4. What a lap. You might be muted, Jamie.
Yeah, but I was. Apologies about that. But what a lap time there from Nick up into P4 with a 16.114 there. That is quite surprising as well for Nick there, considering he did struggle a lot last season. Remember, he qualified outside the top 10 quite a lot, but in the races he made it up as Lucas goes up into P3 with a 15.773 in Williams there ahead of Fireblaze. Remember, it was a competitive fight between Williams versus Ferrari last season, but I think Ferrari just beat Williams there in the constructors with Mike and Fireblaze, but Fireblaze unfortunately runner up in the championship once again, as he usually is in different leagues as Fireblaze, but looking to change his misfortunes this season. TVHNL is currently out there so far as he makes his way towards the end of this middle sector. Let's see what he does. He has used a lot of battery, so unfortunately in the last sector he won't have any battery power as he's a 44.884 in this middle sector there for TVHNL as he exits now with the DRS wide open, headed down in towards turn 13 or turn 11 shall I say, as turn 13 was but the two chicanes or two corners there as it was a chicane back then, as we make our way now towards turn 12, 13 14, the final three corners on this racetrack, where it can be very difficult because the tyres will be very hot at this stage. And he backs off. He is in the pit lane at the end of this lap time, so he believes that this lap time is not good enough to get himself inside that lucrative top 10.
And that's going to put him under a bit of pressure, because with 5 minutes remaining, he is pretty much going to only have to have one lap in this Q2 session. So, going to be a one-shot qualifying for TVHNL. Get him through into the final part of qualifying. Let's see if he is going to be able to do that, as Lucas pulls into the pit lane while Fireblaze and Happy Meal both on their out laps with under 5 minutes remaining, so quite early to go out for their final runs, but there are some people who like to go out a little bit earlier, and if you think your lap time is not going to be good enough, you can back off and try again on another lap. You have time to do that, so that might be the strategy for Fireblaze and Happy Meal and a few others as well. Geitekas going out as well already with 4.5 minutes to go, but Fireblaze, surprised he is going out because he is in P4, but then if you look at the gaps, it's only 4 tenths to Ticey in P10, so better safe than sorry, I think is what Fireblaze is going for, and let's see what he is going to be able to do. He's on a brand new set of softs, so might be a waste of set of softs, but sure he is going to be able to have one at least for the final part of qualifying. You rarely use softs in a race around here with the tire wear. I have to prefer the mediums and the hards, so you can use all the soft sets available to you as Fireblaze making his way through the penultimate corner, and he is going to start what should be his final flying lap as we ride on board with the Ferrari runner-up in the championship last season. Lost out to Eastbrand, but let's see what he can do. Can he finally break into the 115s? As he throws his car into turn 1 and doesn't take as much curb as others have done on the inside of turn 1, but looking very tidy indeed. Now into the braking zone of turn 3. Have to throw your car in here as well. You can see him do that very nicely indeed. That curb on the inside can very easily spin you out if you hit it at the wrong angle, and he hasn't done so now. Flat out. Good sector 1 so far. Is up by 3 tenths of a second, so great improvement already so far for Fireblaze, and look very good as well through turn 6 and 7. Now flat out to what did this kink of turn 8. Isn't really a corner, but it counts as one on the official track map now. Into the tricky skin of turn 9 and 10. Arguably the trickiest corners on this track. Lost a little bit of time through sector 2, but not too much. Still up by almost 3 tenths of a second, which should be able to get him ahead of Lucas. Actually, might be very close to Lucas in P3. Now into this final sector, have to get this one dead right. That curb on the inside can spin you out if you hit it at the wrong angle as well. Now turn 13, close to the apex. Turn 14, wide approach to get the better exit. Middle line strike distance as he is going to cross the line. Fireblaze, is it going to be a good improvement? He crossed the line 115.8, breaks into 115s, but stays in P4 just behind Lucas.
Yeah, it does indeed. There's a quite good lap time there for Fireblaze in P4. Happy Meal coming towards the final corner. The former Division 2 driver inside the top 10 then. Doing a really good job so far, but we have got the other people out there so far doing a flying lap, which is Geitekas. We expect him to get inside the top 3 or the top 10. But unfortunately, he has been struggling on this game and proven as well back in JSR Division 1 on Tuesday as well, which is only a few days ago at the Australian Grand Prix. Here comes Happy Meal towards the exit of turn 6, heading towards 7. He goes flat out now through the right hander as we head down in towards 8. We go 3 tenths of a second already in the first sector He is on a bonus set of stock compound tyres, of course, so well, he did do his best lap time on the mediums, but now he's on the stock compound tyres, finding a lot more time than he did on his mini compound tyres, I used to expect on the grippier tyre. Here he is then towards the end of this Mercedes. He is 43.6, 4 tenths up in his Mercedes. He's on an absolute flyer so far, but the exit at turn 11 had a bit of a moment outside the exit at turn 11 there as we head down in towards turn 12, down to the gears, into third gear, getting slowed down on power, and doesn't seem to lose traction as we exit turn 12 now, headed towards the final two as we go on this race circuit. Into third gear then, nicely tidy there, slows the car down, up to the gears once again, coming towards the final corner. This is a very clean lap time there from Happamill. Here he is, towards down he goes up into P4 ahead of Fireblades in the Mercedes there by 400 of a second. But Nick is out there as well at the exit of turn 11 he goes then, coming in P6, so massive surprise here for Nick, considering he did struggle a lot, especially in Q1 last season when he got knocked out regularly. But here he is towards the final corner. His teammate Heisey is down there in P10 as well, as Daniela goes up into P3. Here comes Nick, it goes up. It's P7 ahead of Brian.
Then Geitenkaas in P12 is up by only 2 tenths of a second. Is it going to be good enough? He is going to cross the line, and it's only going to be P10 for Geitenkaas. Is that going to be enough? With Thijsie, Wessel, Enzo, and all TVHNL behind him, Geitenkaas might be in trouble here. Mike just ahead of him. He invalidated his first attempt, but he has got the time to go for the lap, which he is doing right now. Up by 1/10 of a second, but there's a Mercedes ahead of him, might hold him up here, and he gets out of the way in time. But Geitenkaas has retired from the session. But look at Thijsie. Thijsie already up by almost 3 tenths through sector 1. Wessel has invalidated, he will not improve. Enzo is on a lap. TVHNL has invalidated as well, so TVHNL will not make it through Q3. He has not got a lap time on the board, so Enzo and Thijsie, they are both on a lap. Can they beat Geitenkaas? Can they get into the final part of qualifying? The McLaren is first to cross the line as Mike goes up into P7, but gets the motor back down to P10 because he's crashed. So is Mike going to be out as well as Enzo up at the P5. Great lap time, 57 by Enzo. What a lap. That has demoted Geitenkaas outside the top 10. And now Thijsie in the Sauber. Can he make it a double Q3 for Sauber? He crosses the line. And he can! Both Saubers into Q3 as Thijsie up at the P9. But wow, what a performance. Both Saubers in Q3. That's a sight we have barely seen last season in SDN.
The exit Q2 there, Ryan goes up into P8, so Thijsie has just been on top. So both King Sabers there, unfortunately, will make it into Q2. But Mummy Nick is into Q3. Can you believe it? After all the struggles he had last season, being knocked out of Q1, he is inside the top 10. Fantastic. Absolutely incredible here from Mummy Nick. Shows you the changes and the progression he's made so far. But there is still Q3 and the race left to go in the session. But qualifying has ended in Q2. And however, I'll give you back to my lab because I need to toilet desperately. So I'll see you all in Q3.
Right then, so that is the end of Q2. We'll take a look at the results in a few seconds time. But here we go then. Dylan fastest in Q2 ahead of Finn. Then Daniela, Lucas, Enzo, Happamill, Firebase, Ryan, Mominik and Mike. Mike, why? He crashed after his lap time, and now he is not going to make it into Q3 either. So Mike will start in P10. Same thing that Misha did. It's just not ideal to put it like that. But that means we will have 9 drivers making it through into Q3 because Mike is going to be out as well. For some reason, he thought it was a great idea to crash after finishing his lap time. But 9 drivers will make it through into Q3. And let's see who are going to be the favorites for pole. It's going to be between Dylan and Finn, is my prediction. They have looked incredibly quick through Q1 and Q2. So let's see which one of those is going to perform a magical lap time that will be quickest. And that will be enough for pole position. Is anyone going to be able to break into the 114s? That is going to be one hell of a question. If Finn managed to get a 114 or didn't, that would be incredible. But it's going to be between those two, I feel. Lucas is looking quite quick as well, but he's just 1 or 2 tenths short, or maybe a few more compared to Finn and Dylan. But we're in Q3, 12 minutes on the clock. and one of the drivers is already going out. I think it is Happy Meal in the Mercedes. Yes, and so is Dylan Hogeland in the Visa Cash App RB, or Racing Bulls, as you can call it. First out on track on a brand new set of softs. Happy Meal behind him as well, and Happy Meal should be pretty proud of his qualifying performance so far from Tier 2. Made the jump through Tier 1, and he's in Q3 in his first ever Tier 1 session here, so very, very impressive indeed. But Dylan then in the Racing Bulls, let's see what he can do on his first banker lap. It's going to be a low 15 at least if he wants to beat Finn, who is at the moment right behind one of the Red Bulls, that is Ryan.
Well, there's only one person here who has been not inside the top 10. I think that is Misha.
Mike.
Because, Mike. Sorry, yeah, Mike. So did he crash in qualifying?
Yep, he did.
So he actually crashed on the circuit?
He did, yeah, after his lap completed.
Did he make it inside the top 10?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, what a shame, because he would have got himself inside the top 10 there. But was that crash there? Was it a mistake or was it purposeful?
I'm not sure. Actually, I was going to ask that, but we'll find out in a moment time. But Dylan has started his flying lap. Let's see what he's going to be able to do on his first attempt. Finn is a few corners behind in this final sector, but Dylan and Finn, I mentioned it just when you are away, that those are going to be the favorites for pole position. Probably, as Steve has left the session up, so I hope he is going to join back before the race starts. But Dylan in the Racing Bulls first sector, 26.1. No idea if that's quick at all. It looks quick, so I'm going to go with that. So now making his way through the second sector, DRS open quite early on this straight, if you can call it a straight. Few bends in it. Now into turns 9 and 10. Oh, bit of a curb on the inside, but he has kept it within the white lines, and that is what matters right now for his bunker lap in Q3. Both on a brand new set of softs now into the braking zone of turn 11. There's a sausage curve on the inside, which you have to avoid down at turn 11. Now turn 12, nice and tidy so far. And 2 corners remaining on this flying lap, and it's looking quite good. Bit of a moment on the exit though, and he's hit the grass on the exit as well, and that is going to lose him a lot of time for Dylan. Sure, a few tenths in that as he's going to cross the line, and a 1:15.9. I can tell you that is not going to be pole.
Yeah, we saw what he did in Q1, and he made a mistake going towards turn 13 at the possible corner where he touched the grass on the inside. That lap time was absolutely hooked up. You could see him there, carrying the speed to the corners, taking wider angles in towards corners there, carrying the speed all the way through. So there is plenty more lap time to be found. However, Ryan has been a big mistake as well, probably the same area as Dylan as he makes his way back to the pit lane. So he's always made a mistake there as well. A lot of people in his qualifying session here making a few mistakes. Here comes Fireblaze towards the final few corners as TVH and L has joined, but the back in the car that Ferrari seems to be settled. Here he is then with the DRS wide open. What can Fireblaze do as Kick is in the chat? Hello Kick, how you doing? But Fireblaze goes up into P2, but of course there is a massive gap between first and second place. Finn Hertz, who was Fireblaze's teammates last season, first and second, but separated by 8 tenths of a second. Enzo Max is also on the flying lap there in the McLaren coming towards turn 4 and turn 5. Then a flat out right-hander through turn 5. It should be flat out as he leans on the curb on the outside, heading towards now turn 8, where it should be a lift off, a little bit down on the brake, gets on the throttle, use the battery as well to assist you and power you all the way up towards the end of the middle sector. The middle sector only by 1 corner as well, remember that as well, heading towards the end now as it reaches through to 25 kilometers an hour. It should be an improvement for what's his first lap time there, which is 43.3 in the sector. DRS enabled then as he used the rest of his battery. Barely got any battery left to store for Enzo Max, but he's been super quick so far as we head down in towards 11. Kick says Finn is cooking. Yeah, absolutely is cooking. But where are you, Finn? How come you're not in the session? How come you're not with Lucas as he makes his way down in towards 14 and turn 15 here towards final corners, but it can be easily messed up because the tyres will be very hot on the stage for the DRS enabled there. Let's see where can Enzo end up. It goes up into P2 with a 15.4594.
Great lap time, which was going to make it a McLaren front row at the moment, but didn't sure he's going to have to place to beat that lap time with 1:15.0. Wow, what a lap time already from Finn Geerts, and I do wonder if we're going to break into 1:14s. That will be absolutely incredible. But another man who has been quite quick so far in this qualifying session is Lucas, and he is on his flying lap, his first flying lap there of Q3, making his way through turns 9 and 10. Mominik has just started his flying lap time as well. We'll take a look in a moment's time as Lucas will cross the line in a few corners, hitting the inside curb there, not throwing himself too wide because of that. Now through turn 12, not really flat out anymore on this year's game. Now turn 13, turning in quite early there, and he runs out just a little bit wide on the exit of turn 13. I wonder if that cost him a little bit of time. We're going to find out in his lap time. He's going to cross the line 1:15.3. Well, I'm sure it hasn't lost him too much time because he's put himself ahead of Enzo, but 2.5 tenths behind Finn Geerts with just under 6 minutes remaining in this qualifying session.
What can Mominik do down in P9 so far? Go himself inside the top 10 or top 9, shall I say, but where else in the order can he go as he makes his way at the exit of turn 12 and turn 13 here? Here he is then towards 13, clipping the apex very nicely as he gets back on the throttle as Patat Job has joined the session. So I think that's 19 drivers in the session. Here comes Mominik towards the line. He go up into P5 in the Kisar. Remember, Felipe Nasser, I think back in 2015 qualified or finished this on the top 5, and can Mominik do the same thing here as well here at the Australian Grand Prix for the first race of the season in P5 so far? Mominik doing an absolute fantastic job. He has improved significantly throughout the whole season. Kick says I can go to 14.7 I think for qualifying, which is impressive, sorry, because my best lap time is a 15.6. That's a short qualifying now, but long qualifying, of course, when it comes to Q1, Q2, Q3. The track evolution, etc. The track gets better and better as the track continues to evolve as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the drivers do towards the end. Can anybody get themselves inside the 14s as Eastbound has left the session, but hopefully gets himself back in before the end of the qualifying ends?
I just said that he is gonna eat now, so he might not be able to race. So that is unfortunate. So he might be one driver down then. But Dylan, he has been mighty quick so far through this qualifying session. He's up by 1/10 through the middle part of the lap, but the most time that he can gain is in that final corner where we saw him touching the grass on the entry of turn 14. So I reckon he can gain a few tenths in that. So that is where his time gain is going to be on this particular lap as he makes his way through 13, slightly deep, but doesn't lose too much time. That is much better now through turn 14. And is that going to be able to beat Finn Geerts' time or get him onto the front row? He's going to cross the line for 1:15.2, and he misses out to a pole position by 1.5 tenths to Finn Geerts, who has gone out for an outlap as well. So Dylan, he is going to have to settle with P2. I think that will be his final flying lap, unless he's got more fuel in the tank to go for another one, but I doubt he has in the final Q3 session. You would want to have as least amount of fuel as possible, make the car as light as possible for your final lap, as Happy Meal has just started his final lap with Finn Geerts on pole position, and I think he might be the only driver who could potentially get into the 1:14s. He said that his practice time is a 1:14.5, though he also has said that he has adjusted his setup a little bit for the full wet conditions that we will encounter in the race in a few moments time. So it's not going to be easy then to do 1:14. He might actually be able to get pole position with the time he currently has set, but of course he can improve, so why not try? As he makes his way into the final corner, Finn Geerts for his final flying lap time with 2.5 minutes on the clock. Are we going to see a 1:14 on the board here in the season opener around Melbourne in SDN as he makes his way through turns 1 and 2, slightly wide there on the entry of turn 1, but hasn't lost too much time through turn 3 now into the braking zone of turn 3. Riding aboard clips the inside curve a little bit too much there, and I think that might have cost him a bit of time, and it has. He has backed off, so he can try again, I think, after this lap, but this lap will not be an improvement.
Unfortunately not, but he's still got plenty of time. There's 2 minutes and 10 seconds left to go on the clock there for Finn Geerts as Happy Meal goes up into P4 in the Mercedes. Remember, last season he was in Tier 2. Now he's here in Tier 1 doing a fantastic job so far, and a 15.445 is an incredible lap time indeed. He puts himself on the second row along with Lucas there, who was a challenger for last season, as Lucas, who won, I think, the first race of the season here at the Australian Grand Prix. He won in the sprint race too in Austria, but after that never picked up a win. So Williams there still looking for their first win of the season. Kick, however, who took pole, I think, at Qatar, but couldn't convert it into a race win. As Hertz makes his way out of the final corner. Here he goes then. Milan, do you want to take us through a lap around in Australia for Finn Hertz?
Yeah, let's go then for what will be, if he improves this pole position lap. As we go again through turns 1 and 2, and I think that's much tighter than compared to his previous lap time. But now through turn 3, he needs to get that one right, needs to avoid that inside curb with the sausage, and he does so on this particular lap. So looking good so far through turns 4 and 5. 5 there, this flat kink to the right, which is tricky in dirt here, but first sector split, he's down by 300ths of a second. That's something you can work with, because he has gone quite quickly through turns 6, 7 and 8 now as well on this particular lap. DRS open, onboard with the McLaren using a lot of ERS down this particular straight. Then second sector split, has he gained some time? He has 14,000 of a second up on his time, runs slightly wide. Oh, big of a moment there, but has kept it within the white lines. Did he lose out some time with that? Have to go put in a mighty final sector to be able to improve and get into 114. He's in 115.087 is what he's currently got, so a 110 improvement is necessary to get into the 114. Turn 13 now, and 1 corner remaining for Finn Geerts. Is he going to be able to improve? Runs slightly wide into the wall, and Finn Geerts will not improve, and he will not set a 114. So now he's going to have to hope that his current lap time is good enough for pole position.
Daniela goes up into P6. He was right behind there as well of Finn Geerts, who made a big mistake in towards the final corner. Lucas is on a flying lap, headed towards the end of the first set. The majority of people in qualifier 3 are on their flying laps, and so far only Daniela crossed the line to go quicker as Finn Geerts has retired for the session in towards turn 2. But at 50.0 is currently the pole time here, which is absolutely mighty. That's the quickest ever lap time I've seen around here in Australia. Lucas, look at that, 3/10 of a second, but unfortunately he has invalidated in the final sector there through turn 9 and turn 10. Has lost it as Fireblades in the 4 goes up into P4's Enzo. Across the line, he goes up into P6 in the McLaren there as Nick rounds the final corner in the kickstart. Ryan stays where he is in P9. But here comes Nick. He goes up into P8 there. Good qualifying for the kickstart by Nick. He reminds me of Nico Hulkenberg in the kickstart. Here comes Happy Meal towards the final corner, but he has invalidated and therefore can't go for a lap time. Lucas has spun in the background. That's it. Qualifier 3 is done and dusted, and therefore Finn Geerts is on pole with a 50.087 ahead of Dylan. Dylan, however, an outlier in P2. Great result for him as well, because we barely saw him race last season, but he's up there in P2, and he could be a mighty challenger as well in the race. Don't forget, it is raining in the race, which could have huge consequences in terms of the race setup as well. So we'll see the difference between quality and race setup, who has got the race pace, who has been quicker qualified as well, because it makes a huge difference between 29 laps as well. Lucas in P3 at the Australian Grand Prix. Remember, he was the one that won here at Australia last season with Finn Geerts, finishing in P3 as Cyclo picked himself a penalty on that day. But qualifying is done, and so far it is Finn Geerts who takes pole.
Yeah, great lap time in the end, enough to secure him pole position. Didn't need to improve on his final flying lap, and he takes pole by 1.5 tenths to Dylan. These two have been absolutely mighty so far around this track, but conditions will change, of course, for the race. But good news for Finn Geerts is that Misha is down in P15, so you won't have to expect someone diving up the inside or the other way around as some sort of revenge action. But Finn on pole position, he's going to have to get a good start, and then he can try and look ahead and try and build a gap to the cars behind. But like I said, it is going to be full wet conditions, so very tricky with the start as well. Have to be extra careful on throttle, so we can prepare ourselves for that. And I'm sure this is going to be an incredible race and a very entertaining race for the season opener of SDN. Just look at the weather.
Yes, full wet conditions, not as heavy and treacherous as it was at my race, because I had a race around in Australia a few days ago last Sunday, as I told everybody right now, surely, as a commentator for different leagues. But yes, I had a race around in Australia. It was light wet conditions, not as heavy as this, but unfortunately it cost me the race because I did a one-stop strategy, and I think I pit set of intermediates and the second set on one stop, because there was no safety cars either during the race on Sunday despite beating wet conditions and nobody retiring every single drive. This in qualifying so far in Austria, It looks like McLaren are doing a really good job so far with McLaren P3, P4, Oscar Piastri, Alexander Dunn in P4 in the. We are underway for the Australian Grand Prix like it was at the start of the season. It's McLaren on pole, but in second place is Dylan in P2. Can't get a decent start, stays in P2. All 20 drivers are here, including Eric. As we head down in towards turn 1, Mercedes goes off the track. McLaren of Enzo goes around the outside, overtakes Happy Meal, who goes off the circuit there, but regains himself. He goes up into P6. Hazikas fights to the finish as well. Great start from the Red Bull driver Hazikas, who got himself knocked out of Q2. But as we head down in towards the breakers under turn 3, it is full wet conditions. So it's like it was at the first race of the season in Australia this season 2025. So a few cars off the circuit. Fireblaze, Mike, Daniela, who goes off the circuit. A bit more contact as well in the midfield. Here comes the Aston Martin. Here comes the other Aston Martin, Wessel. Wessel goes up into P9. Mike versus Daniela. As hit off in the background goes the Aston Martin. Mike gets ahead of him slightly. There's almost contact between the two. As Wessel goes off the circuit in towards turn 9, the same place as Alonso. Here comes Fireblaze. Right behind Lucas is side by side as we head in towards turn 9, side by side between the two. As we head through turn 10, Lucas off the circuit and has to cut the corner as he stays ahead of the Ferrari for the time being. But here comes Enzo right behind. Look at these two going side by side. It's 3 abreast. In towards 11 we go for everybody.
Indeed, and wonders that everyone has kept it out of the wall, but Finn Geerts with a clean start ahead of Din by 0.6 of a second. Already a little bit of a gap towards Fireblaze. Was just in the fight there with Lucas, who was dropped down to P5 because of that. Had to take some avoiding action, go off track. And that allowed Enzo to go through up into P4. Lucas then in P5 ahead of Happy Meal. Geitekas up to P7. Great start from him as well. Then Misha from P15 on grid to P8. Mike in P9. And then Wessel is going off again onto the grass in the Aston Martin. Not the first time we've seen that on the opening lap as Misha is going past Geitekas into the braking zone. Oh, very nearly spinning out there on the braking. But what a move from Misha. Is up to P6. P15 to P6 in under 1.5 laps. Great start already from the Aston Martin of Misha, and the two Hasters there in P11 and 12. And once again, Wessel going wide into the wall in turn 5 there, as Daniel is under pressure a little bit. He is not racing. Then Bush TT in P18 and Ryan down in P9, and he sure has must have had a moment as Misha is on the move, on the charge up at the P5. Has got past Lucas, and wow, some pace that Misha is showing in these opening 2 laps. P15 to P5.
What a start there for Misha, making gains left, right, and centre, up 10 places. Remember, there is only one person in this race who is on the intermediate tyres. As Sam says, the stream is lagging a lot. I think I do know why, because my internet is on the internet, not the ether cable.